What's good, agents? I'm here bringing you the Vyllence in this latest video where I'll be playing some Division and also be going over my build, as well as be giving you guys who haven't really played the Division yet or considering buying the game some pointers that will serve you well through the game. Now, a lot of this information isn't new, but I've had a lot of friends who have just got the game or those who are considering the game ask me a lot of questions about builds, pointers, and how to get the best out of this game. So this video is here to answer them as well as to anyone else who is watching. Now, this isn't an end-all be-all guide, this is just a sum of my observations and notes while playing this game. So if you've watched this video all the way through, I would like to make some suggestions, whether it's on how to improve my build or go about grinding, then be my guest, man. I'm all for improving my gameplay, you know? But if you do, just make sure what you're saying isn't bullshit, because I got a bullshit detector. It's called my nose, you know what I'm saying? Now, the best way to describe my current build is a tanky DPS build, which works really well for me. The first thing you'll notice is that my DPS is over 150k, which isn't all that high because most people who go for a pure DPS build will have well over 170k in that department. But here's the thing, if you take a look at their healths, you'll notice that most, if not all of them, have their healths at way below 100k. They'll have like 50k to 70k health, and their armor is at 2000 or whatever. If you take a look at my stats now, my health is almost at 110k, almost. I need to get some gear optimized, with a stamina of over 3000, and my armor is at 4407. My damage mitigation is at 61%. Now keep in mind, boys, that when it comes to being tanky, armor is a little bit more important than health. I've seen some guys running around with 120k health saying, "Ooh, I'm a tank," but their armor is at like 3000 and their damage mitigation is at like 50%. That's not good. You need to prioritize armor over health. Now, you may be asking, why the hell is armor and health so important if you're going for a pure DPS build? And from that perspective, you're right. I mean, ultimately a pure DPS build is great for PvP. Who needs armor or health when you can just use the armor glitch and tank all the damage in the world while melting people's faces in with your 180k Vector 45? But from my perspective, if you have to cheat to beat people or to get the best out of a build, then clearly something's wrong with your build, or you're just an asshole. Unfortunately for you glass cannons out there that love PvP, it makes it for such a minuscule portion of the in-game content that I don't even consider it worth my time, and I know that a lot of other players think the same thing. So all that's left is PvE, and when it comes to PvE, all the enemies in this game are bullet sponges. And glass cannons will struggle to solo hard missions because they'll just get melted like butter by elite shotgunners or snipers. Don't even get me started on how many times I've been the last person alive because all the glass cannons in my group decide to go Rambo and shit and then get ended by a friggin' turret. Or they get pushed on by 2 yellow enemies and they can only kill 1 at a time. It happens so often. Now, the good thing about having a hybrid tanky DPS build like the one I'm using is that you'll be able to survive all of those circumstances. You'll get pushed on by waves of level 30s, level 31s, level 32 elites or purples, whatever, and you'll survive that. Unless you're being careless, which happens, you know, I'm careless many times too.
So air is human after all.
And with the high DPS output that I have, I'm able to melt these guys as quick as they can come. So it doesn't matter if they're doing damage to me. Whatever they're doing is so minuscule that I regenerate it back quick as they can do it. And because of this build, it makes doing these hard missions mind-numbingly easy. It's so friggin' easy for me. I can do jumping jacks if I wanted to, but that wouldn't be wise. Let me just kill this guy real quick. Now I can go through hard missions without even having to use a single skill or a signature, you know? I can just go through, kill enemies with my guns and just get it over with in less than 10 minutes. Now let's get to one of the main subjects of the video. If you're interested in setting up a build like mine, then you'll have to focus on getting that perfect mix of stamina gear, firearms gear, as well as stamina mods, firearms mods, and some electronics mods. You notice I did not put electronics gear in this mix? Yeah. What I recommend is that for every piece of stamina gear you equipped, be sure to use a firearms mod. Likewise, for every firearms gear that you have equipped, be sure to use a stamina mod. That way you can determine which path you want your build to focus on. Whether you want DPS that, you know, can take a punch, or you want a tank that has a little bit more power behind the bullets. It's all possible by working your way around the gear and seeing what works best for you. Lastly, you might want to throw on electronics gloves. And you might be like, why? But let's face it, you'll need some skill power to recharge your skills and to make them do a little more damage. And since gloves are the only piece of gear that don't have mod slots, then just use them, you know? Another thing to look out for when trying to get the best gear are the talents that come along with the gear. These buffs will complement your build that you're trying to go for and make them all the more effective. For tanking, you'll definitely be looking for protection from elites, bonus armor or damage resistance, while for DPS you'll be trying to score some bonus crit damage, increased crit chances, and also increased SMG weapon damage, which leads me to my first point. Get an SMG, spec for SMGs, love SMGs! But Vyllence, I got this sweet ass black market AK-47. Away, filthy auto rifle peasant! So yo, if you're not aware of this, SMGs are one of the best weapon classes in the game. Why? They're crit machines, man! They have the highest critical hit chance amongst all the weapons, and they also do the same, if not more damage than auto rifles. And they carry the same magazine size. That's insane. Additionally, if your SMG has the perk self-preserve that regenerates your health every time you do a critical hit, it means that you will be regenerating health almost non-stop. Every crit hit you do will regenerate your health. So if you're one of those lucky guys that actually got a Midas to drop for you, then use that. Otherwise, you might have to go and craft your own custom SMG like a Vector or an MP5 Navy. Now don't get me wrong though, SMGs are amazing, but they're not OP. They suffer in the range department. So what you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to compensate that by using a sniper rifle or an assault rifle that has really good stability and range. I commonly use the Caduceus as my secondary, not only because it's a beautiful gun and it's one of the hardest ones to find in this game, but also because it has a high DPS output and it has a self-preserve perk. So if you notice, I have two guns that have the self-preserve perk, meaning that when I am out in the open and I'm bursting down enemies, I can switch between the two guns when I run out of ammo. That's one important thing you should know about my build. I'm always on the move, I'm always in the enemy's face, and I'll be constantly regenerating health. Which is how a tank is supposed to be playing, you know what I'm saying? It also helps having the right talents set up, which leads me to my next tip. Get skills or get wrecked. Because there are no clear-cut classes in this game, you'll have to determine what you are by your skills and your talents that you have equipped. Because I'm trying to focus on a DPS build, I'm going to mostly go for skills that can assist me in doing more DPS, which include Pulse with Tactical Scanner, in order to boost my overall DPS. And also there's First Aid with Booster Shot. Again, this boosts my DPS and also my damage resistance while it heals me. It's invaluable. If you're trying to go more for a tanky build, then I would definitely recommend First Aid with Overheal, because that grants you an overshield once you heal yourself. But for me, because I want to do DPS, I'd rather have the extra damage, you know what I'm saying? Lastly, regardless of whether you're going pure DPS or hybrid DPS tank, get Survival Link as your signature skill. It is just so good. That 80% damage reduction is just gonna save your life so often if you use it in the right circumstances, like when you're getting pushed on by shotgunners or something happens that you didn't anticipate. You can just pop it, you can save your friends, or you can, you know, get behind cover. It's just so useful. It's the most useful signature move in the entire game. And if you're thinking, what about the other signature skills? Are there any good? Well, in honesty, not really. Tactical Link is okay because it gives you a very massive DPS bump, but in all practicality, it's not very useful. First of all, it doesn't last very long. It lasts only 8 seconds. And secondly, you can get something to a very similar effect by combining Pulse with Tactical Scanner and Booster Shot. That means both of those combined give you a serious DPS bump. And Recovery Link? Come on, man. That's only useful if all of the friends in your team are down and you can't pick them up right now because you're being flanked. Its use is just so circumstantial that it's not practical to use even in a team situation, and also it's useless when soloing. So yeah, just save yourself the headache and just use Survival Link. Now if you're doing a challenge mission, then I recommend switching up your skills a bit. The first skill you want to go for is Support Station with any mod, as it provides AoE healing for all of your teammates, as well as it has mod effects like it can either make you immune to status effects, or it can increase the amount of bullets you can reload and carry, or it can pick up your downed allies if anyone goes down. The second skill is going to be Smart Cover with the Recharger mod specifically, not only because it gives you additional DPS and damage resistance, but it also recovers your health and your skills while you're in cover. That is so useful. Did I also mention that this thing stacks with other smart covers? Yeah, it kind of does. So it's often recommended that when you have a team, everyone uses smart cover. That way you can get more damage resistance, more damage output. You'll basically take all the damage and heal it back, and your skills will cool down so freaking quick you can literally spam them. But you have to coordinate the usage of smart cover. It's better when all players lump up together and use them at the same time. That way they can just spam it over and over, and they'll be killing enemies left, right and center while you don't take any damage. And lastly, survival link, of course. But if you already have 2 or more teammates that have it equipped, then you can always just switch to tactical link so you can increase the amount of damage that the entire team does. Now when it comes to talents, my build is pretty straightforward. I start off with Adrenaline, which gives me an overheal after I use a medkit if I'm not at full health, and Critical Save, which gives me a damage resistance buff up to 40% while I'm at low health. The next talent you're going to select is On the Move, which reduces incoming damage after killing a target while moving. That's fundamentally what all tanks should have. And the last one I'm definitely going to recommend is One is None, because once you get a headshot, that grants you a free bullet. That is also pretty good. If Destiny had some of these perks on weapons, it would be friggin' OP. Some people will go apeshit for that shit. And there you have it, guys. That's my guide on how to build your character to be a tanky DPS. Now everything I've said so far was geared mostly towards those guys who already have hit level 30 and have everything unlocked in the game to date. But what about those guys that are still yet to hit the level cap? Well, I could just tell you to go get some level 30 friends to power level you through, but you won't be able to enjoy the game as much as you had if you just played it normally, would you? Maybe, I guess. Depends on what you bought the game for. Anyway, here are some pointers for those guys that want to get the best out of this game without being pushed to the max level. My first tip is to save your credits and not buy anything from the regular vendors. I say this because this game is very generous with loot drops. And in true MMO fashion, the weapons that you buy are always worse than the weapons that you find out in the wild, and also they go obsolete much faster. So your safest bet at getting good loot is to just do all of your missions on hard. That way not only will you get cash, but you also get a guaranteed drop that's more often than not better than what you went in with or what any vendor has selling. So get a couple friends who do matchmaking and play it through. The thing is though that all these weapons that usually drop at the end of missions are a higher level than what you are right now, so you'll find yourself doing encounters and side missions in between regular missions just to get your level up. And if you have good friends that are willing to help you along the way, leveling won't feel so grindy. You'll actually get more fun and you'll feel rewarded when you put on that new piece of gear that you just got. Once you hit level 30 though, you're going to throw out all of those blues and those old purples and start replacing them with high-ends that drop. One of the best ways to get that done is to find a team of friends who know their stuff and just farm one of the easier challenge missions. Each completion awards you with high-end gear, some purples, and Phoenix credits which can be used to purchase more high-end loot. And you can just replay the mission over and over again without having to worry about diminishing returns. And if you ain't got no friends, screw it, just go choose a Police Academy mission. There are tons of videos about how to do it on YouTube, so I don't think I need to show you guys how to do it here. Once you got some better gear on and you're a little bit more hardy than you were when you just hit 30, you can take your chances in the dark zone, which leads me to my next tip. Be really picky about what you pick up while you're leveling in the dark zone. Whether you're grinding by yourself or with a group of friends, you'll find yourself making your usual rounds killing NPCs in the dark zone and obtaining the loot that they drop. At some point in time, however, picking up everything that they drop will not only become a waste of time, but will also make you a target for any other player that you may encounter in the dark zone. Consider that every time you fill your satchel with purples, you'll eventually have to stop grinding XP to go stand in an extraction zone for a minute and a half, announcing to the world, "Hey everybody, I got some good shit. Wanna kill me? Well, here I am." Eventually, you'll fill your stash with crap and you'll have to leave the dark zone altogether just to dismantle the shit you picked up. What's worse is that you could die during the extraction, and not only will you use the shit that was not worth extracting in the first place, but also a hefty sum of DZ cash, keys, and XP. The only drops that I will make the time for to pick up and extract are the yellow ones, and even then some of them aren't good. But your story might be different. You might need some new purples because the ones you have aren't that good. In that case, go ahead. What I'm saying is that only pick up the stuff that are better than the ones that you have. So just keep that in mind. The less often you have to extract is the more time spent killing enemies and the more chests you'll find. And the more often you do that is the faster you'll level up and the more often you'll find high-end drops and division tech. Now why do you need division tech? Because my final tip is buy the high-end blueprints and craft until you get the best roll. High-ends can be quite expensive initially at their respective vendors, but if you have a good farming routine, you should be able to afford them in no time. The only question is, what should you get next? My advice is, just get the blueprints. I'm quite sure if you ask anyone else, they'll just tell you the same thing. Don't pick up the weapons or the gear, just get the blueprints. The reason why I'm saying this is because all of the weapons and gear that the vendors sell have a static set of stats assigned to them, as well as some random attributes which oftentimes don't work with your build. Instead, get the blueprints and build them the way you want them. If the build isn't good enough, dismantle it and rebuild it until you're satisfied, or you can even recalibrate it to just get one little thing right. The first set of blueprints I recommend you picking up are the gear. Naturally, because you want to start increasing your stats, and the primary thing that will increase your stats is your gear. Next up, you want to start getting some weapons, whether you want to get that Vector 45 SMG or you want to get that Black Market 8047, you can start getting those next. Afterwards, it's all about getting mods. So whether you want to get that extended magazine mod or you want to get that prototype stamina or firearms mods. Initially, it's going to take you some time to get all the Phoenix credits you need to buy all the blueprints that you want. So what I recommend is using the Phoenix credits to buy the gear blueprints first, then pick up the pecan and the Cassidy from the advanced vendor in the back of the security wing. If you've been saving your cash through the entire game, you should have enough to buy one if not both of them. That way, you can say that you started your level 30 career by having high-end weapons and gear. The pecan is decent at killing elites and named enemies thanks to its attributes, so you probably find yourself using that weapon for a while until you get something much better, like a SOCOM M1A. I'm still chasing the dream. If you so choose to follow these tips, I know eventually you'll become a better player, you'll be able to solo this game without a problem, and you'll also be a valuable addition to any team. And yeah, you'll have fun doing it too. Now that's all the time I have for today, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I really hope the information helps you out. I'm sorry if it's a bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I had a lot to shoehorn in, considering that I've been absent for so long. I really hope I didn't put you guys to sleep though. Hello? Yeah. Well, anyway, if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you got something to say, leave it in a comment below or on Facebook or Twitter. And if you guys want to see more Division and Destiny content from me, hit that subscribe button, man. I'm off to go butter some biscuits, but until next time, stay superior, agents. Yeah, that kind of sucks, doesn't it? Sorry about that. Be legendary, Guardians.
And you don't bring me flowers.